I was going to ask you. I just got done speaking of that song, "When the Children Cry." I just got done reading this book.
Oh yeah, okay.
And for those who are listening and not watching, I'm holding up a copy of "Nothing But a Good Time." It recently came out, and it basically chronicles the '80s hard rock scene. And there was a quote in there that I thought was kind of funny and also very telling of the times. And it dealt with White Lion specifically. And I don't know if it was John Kolodner, the famous A&R guy, or somebody said, when you presented the song "Little Fighter," a lot of people may not know this, but the song it's an environmental song. It's about a Greenpeace boat on a mission to save the whales, basically. And Kolodner said, it may not be Kolodner, but somebody in the industry said, it was Kolodner. Okay. Kolodner said, "Saving whales doesn't sell records. Leather pants sells records."
I know. I mean, he was saying that to Vito, and says, "Man, you got to tell Tramp that saving whales and all that kind of stuff. That ain't rock and roll, man. Leather pants are, you know."
So,
and it was in many ways. It was one of those things that of course now I get to deal with in these interviews, because now I actually deal with great questions that like from you guys and other people that actually are interested in hearing a story, because this was a dilemma that I fought all through the White Line history and the '80s history. In one way, I wanted to be sort of like David Lee Roth. On the other side, I didn't sing like him. My philosophy were completely different. I wanted to tell the truth and not entertain with my stories. As much as I've enjoyed everything he says, half the time I don't understand what it is he's talking about. But here I was, born and raised in Denmark. I had found the story about, the Rainbow Warrior, a little fishing trawler belonging to Greenpeace, blown to pieces in 1978 by French secret frogmen and stuff like that. And it says, here is a David versus Goliath story. Yeah. And even though that I'm neither bringing out the Rainbow Warrior in the song or saving whales or stuff like that, it was just something that I felt. And the truth is that the song has stood the test of time, because as I go around the world, and especially in America, so many people took that song to their heart in their own struggle in life. I've had people who have lost their kids to diseases saying, "Why my boy was fighting his last year, man, he was a little fighter. He loved that song." I've had soldiers returning from their tour of duty with one leg saying, "Man, that song kept me alive." And so in the long run, that was what it was about. But when I joked around before about these, the interviews with Metal Edge or Circus Magazine, I wasn't good at that, sexual end-to-end talk and backstage stories. You have a Spinal Tap story. They said, "No, I don't have a Spinal Tap story. Spinal Tap is built around us. We are the fucking story."
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. I live the misery.
Well, I think that's a really, really great, I don't know what word to use. Problem is not right, but to have when you're, since I don't have any dirty panties stories for you, but I do have all of this stuff that I truly believe in with my heart, and I can make this work in sort of I hate the term hair metal, but in a heavy metal or a hard rock avenue or arena type place, headspace that has a lot of fans who might, who obviously like my band. I can get a message out through this style of music, and it's going to touch people in a certain way and still be a hard rock ballad or a heavy metal song, or it's going to shed light on a lot of areas. Now, it doesn't matter if within the inner sanctum management or even band members are making fun of my lyrics saying, you need to put your leather pants on and shut up about saving whales. You have the last laugh. I'm not saying that it deserves a last laugh, but you win. And you know who else wins even bigger? Those fans that it hit their hearts.
Yeah, I mean, sure. We at times, as much as we wanted the cover of Circus Magazine, as much as we loved the videos, as much as I loved running out on stage with my clothes and changing jackets 3 times just in the first song, man. You know, I mean, I'm raised on Freddie Mercury and David Bowie. I always knew that the stage was a place you perform, not just sing the songs.
Yeah.
There's also a time when you want to talk about things. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. And I probably think that the industry, it probably created more problems or issues for us because we sort of had to follow. It was very tough to be Henry Rollins or Kurt Cobain in 1988. And then, you know, play together with Poison or Motley Crue and things like that, et cetera, you know. But that doesn't mean that there were not band members that would return to the hotel room and read Moby Dick.
Right.
It's true. I think that, I'm sorry, Dave, to interrupt. I like the names that you probably picked them just out of thin air, but Henry Rollins and Kurt Cobain, they're not writing songs about dirty panties.
Right.
Matter of fact, they're probably writing something that's more to the heart, i.e. saving the whales, than it is dirty panties. 100%. So I like how this is panning out. Sorry, Dave. I just wanted to comment.
I was going to sort of make the same point. I think the fact that 2 of Mike's most enduring songs, Little Fighter and When the Children Cry, are stayed relevant to this day.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of songs written by his peers, and maybe even some of his own songs with White Lion, maybe he wrote those when he was 24, 25, 26. They might not resonate today, but the lyrical content of Little Fighter and When the Children Cry, the message in that song, you just turn on the news, man, and that stuff is still very relevant. So I do think you had the last laugh.
And it's incredible that if you have to look at that, I should add something to what you said, because what you said was correct. But I sit at my manager's house where I was living in Staten Island, New York in 85 and write When the Children Cry. This is when Ronald Reagan was president. America was smiling. Nobody was at war. The rock and roll, the music industry was at its peak. The checks could not be big enough when they signed bands and stuff like that. And here I am writing a song about today, not necessarily using futuristic words, but basically just using, like simplicity. And over the last 5 or 6 years, I mean, just to start with yesterday, I mean, the earthquake in Turkey and Syria, the Ukraine war, Afghanistan retreatal, and just one disaster at all. But it was simply just because as being raised in Denmark with only 5 million people, the first country who liberated pornography and sex, and we were very much introduced to all issues in the world. Therefore, it was not difficult for me to look at those kind of things. Therefore, I didn't want to sing about, dirty panties or my G-string turned to A or sexual innuendos. I simply couldn't look in the mirror. I couldn't go out there and show me your tits and stuff like that.
Right.
It's just not me. I like to see a pair of tits, but it's, that's not the problem. I just couldn't use that as my stage persona.
Sure. It's on the list, but it may not be the first 5 things on your list. I get it. Yeah.